Most of us downloaded something we maybe shouldn't have. Reasons may be plentiful, but most people associate piracy to simply not wanting to spend any money. It is a very attractive idea to get any game, album or movie you want without paying a single cent. The consequence? The creators of those mediums do not get financial support from pirates, and if done too excessively, in theory, piracy could lead to a game's failure. Not really. It is a bit more difficult to determine that. Piracy, like almost every other issue, is multi-layered and has way more to it than just theft of games and movies. If you are a pirate, you might have downloaded games for various different reasons. One could be that you live in a country in which the game is inaccessible and thus cannot be bought. Maybe you want a version of your favorite game without DRM for offline play. Maybe you are not sure if a game is a good fit for you and need to try it out first. Or you simply want to save a few bucks and won't give anything back to the creators anyways. Before we move on to the deeper fields of this topic, let us get one thing straight. Please buy the media you love to consume if possible. If you find yourself in a position that allows you to buy the media you consume, you have not a lot of reason to pirate any said media in most circumstances. But why would piracy be a good thing if we should not pirate our games, movies and music? The good sides of cracked software lie in the long run. In the short term, it is nothing more than theft mostly, or since there isn't a good way to measure how much financial hurt piracy causes, it is a circumvention of a paywall that was set in place. In the long term, we see the real benefits piracy brings with it the most, mostly in the form of archival, ease of access, and bypass of invasive DRM services. And maybe piracy can lead to more financial gain than one would expect. What would happen if Steam shut down? I mean, completely shut down. Let's say about 20 years from now, Steam will be gone, and with it hundreds of your games and software you used regularly. So much money went into your Steam profile and now it is gone. Will you buy all your games and software again? But where? What if your product was only available on Steam? What if you get your hands on that physical case you bought years ago, but all you find is a Steam code, which is worth nothing anymore? Online archives of software, knowledge and entertainment are what keep media alive and accessible. In the digital age, it is so easy for a thing to get lost and buried under heaps of websites and data. At a certain point, a product will stop selling. It will stop functioning correctly on modern hardware, or it might just be abandoned by a now gone company. The lack of support, which in most cases is inevitable, might hint towards the end times of this product. Whatever it is you lost, it is now gone. You might not ever get it back. There is no legitimate source anymore you can get the game from. Or another curiosity, if you do buy a legitimate copy, sometimes no money flows into the creator's pockets. If you think about it, buying a game used from a mate doesn't benefit the company that created it either. Some games cannot be bought legitimately anymore, except if you are willing to pay a ridiculous price tag. To make things worse, sometimes the copy has to be cracked to circumvent the DRM, which is not online anymore. If an older game became really rare and its starting price lies at €50 and up, you maybe will not buy the game either. A console might have become obsolete as well, and you might decide to emulate a game instead of buying a console you will most likely never use again. Piracy became a necessary evil in our modern times. Certain things are abandoned, certain things vanish. Other things, luckily, are here to stay for a bit longer. But death is inevitable. Like us humans, media at some point will die. After a certain amount of time, every cartridge, disc or device will experience rot, age and disrepair. Piracy can be malicious in the short term, but in the long run, it might be the saving grace for a priced piece of software or a fun video game, which was abandoned and left to be forgotten. Depending on the country you live in, it might be completely legal to pirate something if you already own it. Many people with years of experience in collecting and playing video games will own the odd disc that doesn't work anymore. Alternatively, you can always get a working copy of a game off the internet and play that version instead. If a scratched up disc actually works, it might be better to crack the game once it is installed and ready to go so you can play the game without ever needing to put in the disc. Another situation entirely is one I have been considering myself for a while. What if you wanted to play a video game but absolutely hated the launcher it was released on? Well, if you bought the game, you can just download a DRM-free version of the game. No need for an annoying launcher, and if the game had some nasty performance-hungry DRM like De Novo, you can kiss it goodbye too. Sadly, there is a problem with the backup argument. It is a legal gray area. When you buy the game, it is considered a good. You are the rightful owner of this one specific copy of the game and you can do whatever you want with this copy. That doesn't necessarily mean that pirating a copy for backup is justified. I think everyone has their own stance on this. For me, it is justified in doing so. If you live in a country where media is not regulated, you are one of the lucky people on this planet that can enjoy any game, movie or piece of music without censorship or other sorts of problems. If you are a person that does live in a country where media is regulated, however, then I welcome you to the club. Some games can only be experienced when pirated. Not many games have been ruled illegal to own, but some are, and you might not be able to import a legitimate copy of a game. One of those games is Wolfenstein 2009 in Germany. It was banned entirely in Germany. In that country you have an index of games which are censored, unreleased and banned. Games like Left 4 Dead are heavily censored. Postal and its sequels are all unreleased due to their graphic nature, and Wolfenstein 2009 also saw a release in Germany, but it was short-lived. Some swastikas were left in the files of the game by accident, and thus the game was recalled and never saw a release in Germany again. If you plan to buy the game from abroad, good luck. The authorities ask you to pick up your package personally and you have to open it up in front of them. They determine, based on that blacklist, which games are good to bring into the country and which games need to be destroyed or sent back. Wolfenstein 2009 is one of the games that isn't allowed to stay. In a situation like this, your best bet sadly is piracy. Another example is Dead Rising and Dead Rising 2 in Germany. There are game keys you could get from the key shops, but they are notorious for not working most of the times. Buying a game legitimately can be very difficult at times, and many of us Germans need to resort to unfavorable sources to get the games from. If you live in a country that restricts you from consuming media and straight up bans the usage of said mediums, you might as well get a copy from a torrent site. But remember, only do so when absolutely needed. Most games can still be bought over key shops or internet stores. Almost everyone I know, including my sister and myself, have pirated Minecraft. We played pirated versions for years on end and enjoyed ourselves playing this game. The general consensus is that pirates do not want to spend extra money, yet everyone I know that truly enjoyed the game bought it in the end. People say pirates will not buy the game they like even if they have the money, yet I ended up buying the games I pirated myself over the years, including Minecraft, Postal 2, Cortex Command, GTA 4, Fallout New Vegas and other titles. I also have many friends from Hungary. In Hungary, games piracy is basically legal. There are no copyright trolls, no one is busting your balls over having pirated a game, and buying a game at full price seems to be a rare occasion. The country has other more important things to worry about. But even these people who have virtually no risks in pirating a game, buy the games they like at some point. Maybe not immediately, but sometime they surely will. Not every pirate is like this though. While piracy can attract new sales, the copyright holders get their money's worth with so-called copyright trolling. If a careless pirate torrents without a VPN or doesn't use a private tracker, or worse yet, doesn't use any security measures in anonymizing themselves, they might get a letter. You see, Copyright holders contract so-called copyright trolls that seek out information, find out your name and address through your ISP service, and they might send you a letter. If you are one of the unlucky pirates, do not read the letter. Do not respond to the letter. Do not confirm your existence. What you have to do is getting rid of the letter and think about how to protect yourself in the future, or to simply stop downloading software over torrent websites. The letters most of the times are legal threats, telling you to pay a large fine or else you might get sued. Those letters are sent to hundreds of pirates, and the threats are mostly just bluffs. Most don't respond. Some do, and the minority actually pays the full sum. With that practice, copyright holders get their money back. If only 5 out of 100 pirates pay, they make quite a profit. After exploring the field and gathering experience and information on piracy and why people pirate in the first place, it became really clear to me that it isn't that easy to approach it with a black and white mindset. Like any issue in life, this is a very multi-layered complex field, to the point where labeling it as simply good or just bad doesn't make it justice. Piracy enables people to explore games they would have never otherwise played. Games from a long-gone company, games that came out on consoles which became obsolete, games that were always obscure and unknown, and sometimes games that they are not allowed to possess. For many of us, piracy became a part of our lives, but we should use it as a last resort. If a game has an appropriate price tag and there is a way to buy a game, you should buy it. Piracy. A word mostly associated with one thing, but in reality, much more lies beyond that. Theft, backup, preservation, history.